Following a heartbreaking clutch time collapse, how will the Thunder, whose biggest criticism is playoff inexperience, bounce back against the championship pedigree of the Denver Nuggets? Welcome to a special edition of The End Zone along with Adam King. I am Colby Daniels. Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals, Oklahoma City and Denver tonight, 8:30 tip-off. Adam, we have the black shirts again. Some people not necessarily happy about that if you're one of those people that read too much into Game 1 scenarios, but should be an electric atmosphere tonight as the Thunder have to get one back.
It seems like a whirlwind of a 48 hours where the fans have been very outspoken again about some things and other things. The shirt's just kind of the tip of the iceberg when you get into it. But one of the cool things that has been seen as we get into Game 2, the spirit of the fans not wavering at all. And Fox 25's David Chazanoff is live at Thunder Up in the Park, where he got a chance, David, to meet and really take maybe some tutelage from one super fan out there. Looks like you got some artwork of your own there.
Oh yeah, I had to pay tribute today, Adam and Colby, to Courtside Tattoo, dude. Check it out right here. We got the OKC in glitter. Don't worry, Mama, if you're watching, it is temporary. Now, he's been a fan since day one, dating back to 2008. He tells me throughout the years, so much has changed, but one thing has stayed the same: how electric it really is inside Paycom Center.
The energy here, the intensity of this fan base, you can't match it. Like, you just have to be here, right?
Courtside Tattoo dude Jeremy Price lives for the action he sees from Section 104 of the Paycom Center.
104 is where it's at. I'm going to tell you that right now.
If you've been to a Thunder game in the team's 17-year existence, you probably saw him there.
Hey man, Courtside Tattoo dude here.
Price is going on 16 years of being a season ticket holder, an experience that has allowed him to actually get to know the players.
It's nice to get to say hello in a different environment than on the court, because that's their office. You know, that's business when they're on the court, right?
Believe it or not, he says guys like Jalen Williams or J-Dub recognize him at games.
The Courtside Tattoo guy, or the Courtside Tattoo dude, that's his thing on Insta, really cool friend of mine.
They do acknowledge and they see. It's kind of hard to miss a little bit, you know.
What's most important to Courtside Tattoo dude, though, is team success.
One of my best memories is when they eclipsed the franchise record of the 65 wins.
He says this roster has what it takes to make it a season to remember.
I think they're going to win it all this year.
Tickets, okay?
You know, I really hope he's right. It's time to put Game 1 behind us, Adam and Colby, and it's time to Thunder up. He tells me that he has a pregame ritual before tip-off, just like the players do. You can watch that segment on our website right now. That's okcfox.com. We're reporting live outside Cindertail Park. We'll send it back to you, Adam and Colby.
Game 2.
David, thanks a lot. Sounds like a fun time over there at Thunder in the Park. Something that's not quite as fun to talk about is what happened in Game 1 just a couple nights ago as the Thunder, as I mentioned in the open, collapsed down the stretch. It was a combination of errors that led to fouling up 3, missing free throws, and ultimately an Aaron Gordon dagger that stole home court advantage from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Adam, in terms of just the overall 60 minutes that were played, there was a lot of good that took place, but the bad is very glaring.
Yeah, I think if you're going to look at the game plan overall, a lot of Thunder players are going to say we don't need to change a thing. It was a very successful, 55 minutes. So we've not seen an offensive spurt like those last 5 minutes where just somebody turned the water off. It was just not happening. And then once it rains, it pours kind of in that situation. We talked a little bit earlier about there were multiple moments throughout this game, through the full game, where the Thunder had a chance to kind of tip this thing over the edge and just put it away and never quite got it there. You got to believe with a rowdy house in Game 2, knowing what's on the line, a fan base and a team that's hungry for it, they're not going to miss that opportunity this week.
One of the things they talked about, I think, the entire off week was showing up with energy, and they certainly did that, right? I mean, the energy was there. This place was rocking. They had a lead for the majority of the game. That wasn't lacking. Another thing they talked about is not allowing the opponent's superstars to take over. And while I think Jamal Murray had a really good first quarter, it kind of felt like one of those Jamal Murray's going to go off type of games. They were good at reeling him in, but after a quiet first half, it was Nikola Jokic that absolutely buried the Thunder down the stretch. 42 points, 22 rebounds. We'll get to how they stop him, but you got to at least make someone else beat you.
Yeah, and it's the things like that. We did talk about that before the first game. You know Jokic is going to get his. I was right there with you when Murray started that game. I actually braced myself and said, we cannot let this happen. But again, you look at it, and it's just there wasn't anybody that was overwhelming. You even want to go into the numbers and look at the rotations. It's not like anybody did anything that was going to throw Oklahoma City off. It kind of just feels like one where they did the damage themselves. When you do look at some of the things with the Nuggets, I do want to see them throw maybe more bodies at Murray, especially early. I think you have a chance now to let them know, like, if you're going to take 3 more of these, we're going to really make it difficult for you to do so. And Porter Jr., I think we need to attack him on the other end of the floor. He's got a hurt shoulder. Make him earn it, and maybe that's another way. We talked a little bit, too, about getting Denver out of their typical rotations, and I think that's the way you can do it. Make him very uncomfortable early. Suddenly those nicks, those pains, they start to hurt just a little bit more, and he needs some time on the bench.
We will certainly talk about fouling up 3 and the strategy there and the missed free throws, because I know those are the 2 main things that you point to as to why the Thunder lost. But I think it was around the 6-minute mark where I kind of started getting the feeling they're settling offensively. They weren't as aggressive as they normally are. Now, there were some open threes that they missed, and those were good shots that didn't go down, and maybe it's a different story if those shots go down, but I didn't feel like they were ultra aggressive in going to the bucket, and that's how you get whistles, right? They led the NBA in free throw attempts. They were not able to get to the free throw line because they weren't aggressive, while Denver was aggressive on the other end of the floor. And you have Jokic with 5 fouls. Attack Nikola Jokic with 5 fouls and try and get that 6th.
It's one of those things where you just mentioned all those stats. This is, at its core, it's a downhill team first, right? You want to make it a football team. This is a running team that opens up the pass. They go downhill to open up some of those 3-point shots, and it makes the lives of those guys like Dort and J-Dub and any of those guys who were waiting on the outside a lot easier. And it was like we're playing Simon Says, and it was stay out of the paint. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's a young team that maybe just kind of felt like this is turning into what could be a moment and things get a little tight, but you can't look at the tape and watch the game back and have any explanation for it. I think that's another reason why everyone's just so confused as to what happened and why it just doesn't make any sense. But you could kind of see them like make maybe a step or 2 towards the paint, like they were going to drive, and then pass it off just so soon. So we're looking to see that aggression really come back.
All right, I know that fouling up 3 is a popular topic of conversation. Everybody has an opinion on it. You have an opinion on it. I have an opinion on it. We'll give you our opinion on it in a moment. But first, let's hear what Mark Dagnall had to say.
I'll take full responsibility for the decisions and the way we executed it. It obviously didn't turn out. That's part of playing probabilities. You know, every time you play a probability, it could be the right decision based on the probability. It doesn't always turn out to be the right outcome. But I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm responsible for that sequence of the game. The guys executed everything I asked them to do.
In a calm and safe manner.
And that's what you want from your leader, right? Whether it was the right call or the wrong call, he's sticking by what he did and taking responsibility. Now, as far as the strategy, I don't agree with it. I know what the probabilities say, and I would say if we're in the regular season where the consequences of missing a probability aren't as weighted as they are in the postseason, it's a different conversation. I think you absolutely use probabilities and analytics as a tool, but it's not the end-all be-all, because I think in the playoffs you're going to be in so many contextual situations where the elements are different. You can't just apply the same logic to every situation. I think as bad as they were offensively down the stretch has to be taken into account. The fact that Nikola Jokic is on the sideline has to be taken into account. And you're going to make them earn a 3-pointer to possibly just tie you. Worst case scenario, and maybe you get a shot after that. I hated the fact that they did it, and if nothing else, wait a little longer with less time on the clock.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I'm never going to have a problem with a coach going with their gut. I'm kind of old school in that way where guys that have been in games know, like, you have to feel the situation. We can't totally rely on the numbers. So I don't have a problem with the fouling. It was the 90 feet away from the basket with the whole floor to go. We could at least take a little time off this clock. I think the Jokic being on the bench thing is a huge piece of this puzzle. It felt like one of the few times that Dagnall got, like, out chess matched, where you're almost thinking that the coach for Denver had him on the bench and thought, well, maybe they'll foul and I can get him back in the game. So I didn't like the way that felt coming off, but we got to just take a breath for a second in that moment, even as the walls are starting to cave in and the Chicken Little sky is falling, and just go, look, if it makes sense, let's make it just make a little more sense. And hopefully that doesn't bounce back the other way where we're almost too frozen to make the call in a game like tonight.
Speaking of bouncing back, I'm curious to see what version of Chet Holmgren we get tonight. It was a very physical matchup with Jokic in Game 1, and coming off the 2 missed free throws, that's got to be something that's weighing on his mind. I know he's mentally tough, but he's got to bounce back in a big way, as does J-Dub, who had a terrific first-round series, but both of those guys I thought were criticized for last year's playoff run. They've got to be big in this series.
Yeah, anybody for the Thunder that's going to be anywhere near the paint, they got to eat their Wheaties, and they found that out the hard way. You got to come into this game strong, ready to go, and not be afraid to put a body on somebody, namely Nikola Jokic. You have to make him think anytime he gets the ball on the block, his life is going to be miserable, just to nudge him off his game a little bit. And we know it's not very easy to do, but you got to find a way if you're some of those key role players for the Thunder that are coming in, because those are the guys that win the championships. SGA is going to do his thing. Jokic is going to do his thing. You win these games in the margins, and to do that, those guys have to come in strong.
I thought they did a good job on him for the majority of the game. The problem was once they got into foul trouble, they picked up a few cheap ones away from the bucket. You can't do that. But playing physical against him, I thought, had him in some early frustration.
Yeah, keep it going and just keep hammering. I mean, that would be the slogan on the wall, on the whiteboard. Keep hammering. You don't have to change a whole lot. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just keep hammering.
Clean it up.
Yep, and when you feel that moment where things are starting to tip, push it and finish it this time. We can end this thing in the second or third quarter if they find that moment and bring it home. We're going to take a break here. We got local news for you coming up after a break, and then we've got more breakdown before the game here coming up from the Paycom Center. We'll be back after this.
Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals, the Thunder and the Nuggets tonight. The Thunder looking to even this series after Denver took home court advantage. Along with Adam King, I'm Colby Daniels. We will give our thoughts on what the Thunder have to do tonight. But first, David Chazanov is at Thunder in the Park. I hear dropping bombs, making it rain. David.
Colby, come on, don't jinx me, man. I'm here to prove tonight that what Chet Holmgren did in Game 1 is, it's pretty hard to do. So I'm going to give this microphone over to John, and I'm going to take my shot, see what happens here. Wish me luck.
Let's go! Go, Fox! Come on! Oh! That's why we're not mad at Chet. That's why we're not mad at him.
I told you, that's why we're not mad at Chet Holmgren. Hopefully that ball doesn't go into the street. Okay, they picked it up there. I feel so bad because I cut in line in front of some kids and they started crying. So, we're making kids cry on live TV. So I deeply apologize to that family. But, why not? Maybe I'll try it with one hand here. Okay. It's not meant to be, clearly. These kids are waiting in line. I might as well give them a shot. Chet, it's okay. I forgive you. Just don't make it happen in Game 2, buddy. Reporting live in Cedar Tail Park, David Chazanov, Fox 25 News.
Thanks a lot, David. Not calling Chazanov off the bench to shoot free throws down the stretch of the game.
0 for 2, tough look.
That's a tough one. We've seen it before, though, in this arena. In terms of what has to change tonight, I think a lot of people want some big answer of, like, this is what you change, you do this and that. I don't necessarily think you have to change a whole lot. There's things that you need to certainly do better, and you need to limit the mistakes, but I don't necessarily see any gigantic changes this evening.
I think any changes that happen, there's subtle ones, like you said, that come from the top down. I think all the coaches got to do is gather the guys up around and go, look, seasons have moments, and this is one of those moments where we figure out it's not about what we did on Monday, it's about our response. That's what we control right now. Do we go out there with our fists balled up, ready to go, and make something happen? Control your response, bring the energy just like you did, and we kind of talked about it before. Keep hammering, do your job. It's worked so well so far. What happened on Monday was an anomaly.
I think one thing about tonight is you want to see a fast start when you lose a game the way they did on Monday night. That's a heartbreaker like that. You don't want to have a slow start. You don't want to fall into a hole. You don't want the mental aspect of this series to start creeping in. If you start fast, that probably erases from your memory. So fast start, they got to shoot the ball better, obviously. I think they were 0 for 10 in the first quarter from downtown in game number 1, so you want to see them shoot better. But I think more than anything, SGA is going to be SGA, right? It's J-Dub and Chet, the two Robins, if you will, to his Batman that have to be better tonight.
And we'll be yelling from inside and outside the building, especially in the fourth quarter. Get the ball in the paint. Just do it. Get the ball down low, work inside to out. You know it works well, so just keep doing what you do. It's all going to be just fine. We'll have more for you. This game tips off at 8:30. We appreciate you guys being here with us as we get you ready for all things Thunder. We'll continue to have that for you. And as everybody in Oklahoma City thunders up, we're going to do the same. We'll see you next time on The End Zone.